Welcome back to a new episode of Commander's Log. And well, I got questions. You see, it was two Linus references, but I want proof of life. And how does a 1,000-year-old computer know the words of stormy weather? And is this mycelial network on drugs? Any questions? Plus, author Joe Townsel joins us live in the Shuttlecraft. It's Commander's Log, and it starts right after the break.
This episode of Commander's Log is brought to you by Geek Renaissance. Need that special gift for the nerd in your life? Love supporting small business? Look no further than Geek Renaissance. The artist Sephra makes all items by hand and will boldly go to the final frontier for your unique gift. Head over to geekrenaissance.company.site and use the code FLOBITO, that's FLOBITO, to get 10% off your order. Don't forget to follow, like, and share Geek Renaissance on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Captain John, the audience is watching live. How's it going, sir?
Hey, I love to do music at the beginning. You have yet to open up my mic while I'm singing along with Geek Renaissance. Geek Renaissance, get some beauty in your life, you geeks.
You should write the Star Trek lyrics, right?
Exactly. Oh man, I'll tell you what. One of these days we got to get crazy, and Joe, you got to join us for this,
Yes.
and we got to try to karaoke the Gene Roddenberry lyrics to the Star Trek theme.
Oh dear God, no.
I've sung them in the shower many times. I'm stand ready.
It's like lounge music, you know?
It's a great idea to sing it in the shower because it makes you feel dirty to sing it, so you're showering at the same time.
Right. You know,
Genius.
Joe Townsel, how you doing, sir? You good?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing today?
Very
Not as good as you, baby. JoeTownsel.com. Books on the way, living life, making the best of a bad situation. My friend, you are an inspiration and a half.
absolutely.
Oh, I appreciate the ongoing love and support from you guys. Thanks so much. I'm blessed to be here and blessed to be here.
All right, well, pop quiz, hot shot. The show's called
Uh-oh.
Stormy Weather, episode Stormy Weather, Commander's Log, Discovery. Thoughts about the episode, give me your overall feelings, my friend.
Well, I gotta tell you, man. At first I was watching. Am I seeing like a classic episode of TNG or Voyager? And that's not meant in a bad way.
Yeah.
Because as you know, they're just very, very reminiscent of some episodes we've seen in the past. Some concepts that we've come to know and love. I mean, most recently, the three of us talked about Night on Voyager not 4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So there were some elements of that. But what it brought me to mind of right away was like, you know what? Anytime you go into like a big black nothing in space, man, you better watch your ass because, there's bad stuff in there. I mean, if it's not Nagilum, from Where Silence Has Lease, season 2,
Wow.
It's going to be something like that.
Yeah.
So, and then this episode did not disappoint, but in the best possible way I can express, going into this spatial nothingness of this anomaly of the DMA and saying, well, we're going to get some answers. And well, answers aren't forthcoming, but we better get our butts out of here, man, because this is pretty bad.
Yeah.
Made for some exciting stuff.
The notorious DMA captain thoughts about today's episode, Stormy Weather, episode 6 of season 4.
So many problematic moments in this. I hate to say, after the last episode, I was like, hey, it's looking good. And the episode before that, I was like, I don't know. And now I'm back to,
I am shocked, gobsmacked, befuddled, bewildered, flummoxed, and flabbergasted, Captain. I thought you would love this week's episode.
I'm a little surprised myself.
Yeah, well, here's the problem. And maybe I'm worrying about something that I shouldn't be worrying about. Maybe I'm taking on something that's not my role to take, which is I am always afraid that this show will drive people away from Star Trek.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair with any show.
And exactly. I have that worry about every single show that I love. It's like, is this going to get canceled because they keep doing experimental or non-experimental, repetitive narrative things? And is it driving away so many people? Because like, okay, I'll just say, like, I love
break it down, really.
I loved the show Lost. I loved that show so much, and I feel like they've effed around and they found out. You will drive people away. I again, you could talk me out of this with Discovery. Discovery is a show that Star Trek fans go and they find it. It's not a show that just shows up and people go, oh, well, maybe I'll just eat some popcorn and watch this out of curiosity. At this point, you got to find this show. You got to make this show entertain you. And so maybe I'm worried about nothing, but it's done. So, okay.
You got to go into it, man, because you can't be problematic and people are leaving the show and be like, I don't want to get into it. Let's get into it.
Okay, well,
specifics, Sean, come on.
Just loosely, point by point. I have to say, I absolutely agree with you, Joe, that this is a classic Star Trek plot because they find themselves in a hey, stress-free K, how you doing? They find themselves in a spot that presents a mystery, and then it is deadly. The clock is ticking. The doom is coming for them. And so that's all classic, and that's all good. I have no problems with that whatsoever. But this whole Zora thing, it's so cute. And what is Zora's biggest problem in this? What is Zora's because Zora's the computer, and she has her own name.
Term for artificial intelligence, John. She's more than a computer. She has feelings.
She is Discovery, actually. Yes,
and that's the thing. She's Discovery, and we get to a point where things need to happen and they can't. Why? Because Zora is afraid.
Okay.
All right. Not terrible. Not terrible. Right. So your all-powerful ship, well, all-powerful within its own limits ship, now has a personality, like, and that personality has problems. And how does she get out of it? And I'm gonna spoiler for everybody, how she gets out of it. Someone listens to her problems, helps her work through them, and gives her excellent advice. That has happened on every episode of Discovery of season 4.
And every CW show too. Have you seen The Flash? You can do it, Barry. Run really fast.
You might not be wrong, Flobo. You might not be wrong there. You are usually right about things. And maybe that's like where entertainment is right now. Maybe stories that we tell are very much stories about emotion and inner conflict and someone helping you through it. But you know me. When I see the same conflict and the same resolution happen over and over, I start going, uh-oh, we're in big trouble here.
All right, I'm not saying you're right or wrong, but Joe, you've been awfully quiet about this. Let's go to it. Zora, she is, or it is, they are, I'm not sure whether she has, whatever. Zora, the artificial intelligence, is basically evolving at a rapid rate, has emotions, now has fears, tries humor, but had to go back and listen 4 times. I'm like, wow, Data had better material. Am I right? Anyway, thoughts about the Zora storyline. Tell me.
Well, I'm going to take it. Actually, this might surprise you guys as well. As far as my take on it, I'm going to take John's point, a step further. I think part of the reason, at least in this episode, where Zora was insecure and feeling the weight of the world on her shoulders, quite frankly, was an excuse to put Michael Burnham on the bridge at the end of the episode. Because really, if you think about it, why was she even there? Why wasn't she in the pattern buffer?
I kept expecting her to go. Expecting her to go. That's an excellent question.
Because the captain goes out the ship,
man. Narratively, the answer is simple because that's your lead, and you want her, as part of the action in the climax.
Captain goes out with the ship.
But logically, but she just sat there.
Yeah,
she was grimacing, man. She was doing
she was giving us those grimaces that we needed.
The hate is real. Okay, I'm glad we started with Zora because even though I liked the episode, spoiler, I did. That really was the weakest one for 2 reasons, and I hate to say one of the reasons because I don't want to come at me. Is that going into this episode, I'm like, yeah, you haven't really given Gray anything to do. understanding he comes back. I think he comes back. He's a dearest partner. I like it. But he literally is in a scene by himself going, I'm not doing anything. But so you give Gray the power to be a whisperer to artificial intelligence. Contrived, but I'm okay with that. Yeah. But to be able to go on a bridge of a scientific vessel, like, you know what I found out? And I'm like, yo, come get your boyfriend, bro. There's no clearance. Well, how? Why?
I mean, you know, what is the emergency there? The emergency is I need to tell everyone about Zora's feelings that Zora shared with me. Is this Star Trek?
Yeah. Well, it's pretty reminiscent of the early TNG episodes where, you know, refugees from the 20th century could just walk onto the bridge by telling the, you know, Turbolift, take me to the bridge.
They got some
stress-free. So it was kind of a callback to that little weakness in the storytelling, but again, it was the plot device to move it forward. So yeah, I mean, I'm with John and on that. I do like the aspect of Zora, you know, having the artificial intelligence, it basically becoming Discovery and a character in quote unquote her own right.
Right.
And I am looking forward to seeing how eventually this is going to tie into Calypso, because I'm sure we're thinking about that too, where Zora was, you know, had been there for 1,000 years after this point even. But there's going to be some bumps along the way, I think.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, we do need to address that because that was one of the few smart things I've done. Hi, Kirsten. It's one of the few smart things I've done in a while is you know what? I better go look this up. Oh my God, there was a short trek about this called Calypso. I went and I watched it and it was very good, but you're right. Everything about Calypso was introducing us to Zora as if everything about her was 1,000 years in the future. And it turns out, no, it's actually that 1,000 years. Zora is alone for 1,000 years. And then she rescues a soldier. And then he is on the ship with her for a while. And she doesn't make it easy for him to leave, but he does finally leave. And we feel very, very sorry that Zora is all alone now, floating in space. She'll probably never see this crew again, even though she is waiting for them. It's very sad and very soulful, and I'm glad that they kept Zora in the story. But now here we are.
Is it okay? Is it okay in a post data and before world for AI to have things like anxiety or fear? Is that still okay, or is it because Zora is introduced so quickly that it becomes hard to take?
It's a good question.
Well, I think it's a little bit jarring because of the brevity of the situation thus far. So yeah, it's kind of taking us by surprise. I think that Data himself proved that, you know, artificial life and intelligence can have these emotional conditions and be fine and actually enhance themselves and the environment around them and their fellow crewmates and so forth. But getting back to John's point, though, the thing that's just a little bit concerning, maybe this will be addressed, maybe they'll pleasantly surprise us all in the coming episodes. This is something that if the computer somehow malfunctions on the ship, they're screwed. Yeah, I mean, Data's bad enough if he malfunctions.
Yeah. I mean,
you know, so maybe we're heading that. Maybe we're going to see something like that happen here in the next couple episodes. Who knows?
Yeah, critical failure, but he has show tunes.
Yeah,
just a bare necessity.
Here's an interesting thing, though, about Zora's singing. When Zora was like, "I'd like to sing to you," and I'm just sitting here going, "Oh my God, it's 2001: Space Odyssey, 2001: Space Odyssey." How the computer starts to develop feelings, but also neuroses and psychopathy, and then when they're dismantling him, they take him back to when he was just a demo, and he used to sing Daisy, Daisy. And so that's all interesting. That's all an interesting callback. And I'm sitting there going, oh, she's going to sing. Well, that's kind of nice. I liked when Hal sung in 2001. And then she starts to sing, and it's like, oh, like pop music now.
Is that Stormy Weather pop music? I mean, no, Grandma Winslow sung that on Family Matters when I was a kid.
No. Her style. Her style is that indie girl singing. I I'm going to sing a song and it's sad.
Well, when you die, it becomes the most prominent musical genre in the 25th, 26th, and 27th centuries, bro. I mean, Emo One Girl is the best thing ever.
I
Well, John, you know,
I couldn't. I could.
You have to suspend disbelief on one aspect of I think all these current Trek series is because they do tend to use a lot of contemporary slang and references.
Yeah,
you know, you got this and what have you. And it's okay, that takes me out of it a little bit, but I just get past it because I know they're trying to relate.
Right.
So
right.
I'd say you know, the same thing for the choice of music there, and of course what we're getting there is Blue Skies by Data. You know, we're getting now Stormy Weather by Zora, you know, so there's that correlation.
Good correlation too.
Before we move on from this one, because this one is kind of, what do you guys think about Michael and Zora's Lalogi or replications? Because, like, not to be funny, but like that's a very sacred thing to these people. It seems kind of cultural appropriation-y to be like, I made one too. I thought that took me out. It's kind of weird to say that. I don't know if that's, am I overthinking it, John?
You know something? It really did ring my bell to see that, because that's the first thing I thought of was like, you know, that's kind of like their thing.
Yeah, it's the entire legacy, bro.
That's like how they honor their families. But wasn't it? I mean, it was super sweet to see Tilly again and to see you know, old Saru and to see like old this and old that. You know, it was funny because she's doing it and I'm watching it, you know, very close to her. The camera's very close to her.
Yeah.
Hey, this was a Jonathan Frakes episode. And I love when Frakes directs. Just love it.
Yeah.
And so you got all of that like feeling of that sort of intimacy of her doing that. And then they pull out and she's like, I believe she's on Book's ship doing it, which as many times I've described it as his van that is parked in the driveway of Discovery.
I thought it was her quarters, but I'm not even sure anymore.
Maybe it is her quarters. But here's the thing, like once it opened up and he was in the room, and then I'm like, oh, she's scrapbooking.
Totally she's doing. She basically said, oh, this is something I saw in like in a market bazaar on my last vacation. I'm doing one for myself. And I was like, this sounds really culturally appropriate.
Well, and you know, Flobo, you can't deny them because they, you know, just like us. I mean, you know, they want their Christmas trees too, right? It's 2 days before Christmas, so there you go.
That was one of the main things in my notes. And thank you for bringing that up, Joe.
It wouldn't be a big deal if it was something they saw like in 10 forward or whatever the equivalent is.
Yeah.
This dude like had it and was a criminal because he stole it and died for it. Mike was like, I'll make it with you. It'd be great. It'd be gangbusters.
Here's the thing though. I mean, jumping to the end and Stress Free K, I think, has a really good point here. Jumping to the end of the episode when when Zora is making her own, at that point, it's returned to it enough that I start going, is this the Christmas episode?
It could be. Yeah.
It got the tree and all the love.
Fam is what you make it, man. Fam is what you make it.
And
I think that's a very, very astute observation. And
you guys are way deep
especially when you know Zora does her tree and it basically has the entire crew on her tree, not just blood relations. Not that she would have any, but
well, and that's really, I think, one of the best things that comes out of this episode is we get not just her saying it, but also her acting it out and her proving it that Zora does love the crew. She says it, she acts on it. I mean, everybody wants to, I don't know about you guys, but I always want to think that my car loves me.
Of course.
Yeah. My car's named Drake.
Is it really?
Yeah, because I drive a Ford Edge and it was assembled in Canada and it's not quite black, so I call it Drake. It's like a gray. So I call it Drake. That's a global fact, y'all.
Well, while we're on the topic briefly, my truck is named Mr. Townsel.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
His license plate says
Townsel.
Yeah, his license plates have been Townsel since I was 15 years old, so that's why he has his name.
Oh,
that's
wow.
Cool. Sorry.
Well, I just want to say my truck's named Nana. after the big dog in Peter Pan.
There you go. See,
okay, that works.
So now we're starting to understand Zora a little bit more. Now we can relate with our vehicle naming and so forth.
I do apologize to Drake when it's on E and I haven't put any gas in it. I know you're hungry, boy. Times are hard. All right, moving on. My second favorite part about the show, because the first one is Dr. Pollard's back, is the actual mystery this week. We have ourselves that lightless black, that idea of like this, I guess, these edge coming and destroying things. Seeing that Dot scream for its life was something that I would have read in the novel. It was awesome.
I like
it. Joe, let me ask you this, man.
It sounds like it's screaming.
Go ahead.
It's very John Frank's like excellent fact or fiction. But Joe, your thoughts about this? I know we were talking about science and discovery. It's a science vessel, a science mystery. Thoughts about that this week?
Well, one thing I did observe with that scene and one that came later is that we were given a more tortured, long-lasting view of this poor Dot's being eaten alive, basically. A few minutes later, we have a real crewman, flesh and blood, getting sucked out into space, and like, okay, boom, that's it.
TMA, bro.
I mean, there were a few sad faces after that, but I think there was a lot more grieving over the Dot, which not to take away from that, but seriously, I mean, but that was a very effective way. Yeah, I think it was a very effective way of saying, hey, this thing is invisible for the most part, but look what we can see what it's doing to this, so it's going to do that to us if we don't do something quick as far as getting away from it.
Yeah, it made me think like our enemy here was entropy. The fact that all things are destroyed, all things eventually go, and it's closed on them.
Damn, that's deep.
Well,
man, I'm tripping.
He said he's tripping. He's tripping.
I'm tripping, man.
I liked it. It was a scientific based mystery in that they are in this space. They want to know what the answers are, but they can't pull out and they can't jump because you eventually find out the mycelial network gets all spazzy in that space. Hadn't seen it for a second there. I want you guys to see if you felt this way or not. I thought it was off the table. I thought the mycelial network would have been destroyed this episode and it won't be able to jump ever again. Was that crazy?
Oh,
yeah. I don't know if it's crazy. It might have been.
I think we should.
Consider.
Yeah, I think the spore drive and the jumping is just it's just too quick of an exit. I'm sorry, it's too quick of an exit in too many instances. And now we're kind of at a point like I said, okay, we got shields and they can protect against anything, but they don't work half the time. Well, that's when we can get out of these jams when the thing malfunctions.
Shields so never work.
Yeah. So I mean, either this thing works all the time or it doesn't. That's one aspect of the so-called spore drive. I saying, being able to jump in and out of things instantly. That's kind of not sure what to make of that. Still, I'm still on the fence about that.
It is gimmicky. I'll give you that. It's especially gimmicky. I do like though the idea that we get away from a very basic past fear of how long to place and what kind of speeds you have to travel. And if you go past warp 10, then Tom Paris turns into a lizard and turns Janeway into a lizard, and they have lizard babies. No one wants that.
Those babies are the worst. They never clean out themselves. They're so ungrateful. You know what? It's interesting because this is a Commander's Log, and we like the show, but you can't tell with our guests this week. No, I hear you. The spore drive can be gimmicky, but I thought it was kind of cool. I thought it was kind of cool to see the network kind of screwed up,
But I'll tell you, I thought
it was cool.
If I can share this with you, I was relieved about one aspect that was revealed this week. And I'll tell you why.
Tell me.
The fact that we learned that whoever created the DMA is from outside the galaxy.
Yeah.
Because I got to tell you, after last week, I kind of had a theory that I'm glad has now been disproven so quickly. You're not going to like this, but here we go.
I love it.
I thought the Federation might be behind the DMA. Because look how quickly Navarre fell into place. Okay, let's get back in there so we can get that protection. I thought, are they actually manufacturing this thing to coerce people into rejoining the Federation?
Look, man, the DMA's an inside job, man.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I was saying. Man, is that what's happening?
Hey,
now we know better. Now we know better.
Yeah. Seriously, Flobo, has that not happened in the past? Has the enemy
all these
not
psycho
been
admirals,
inside
man.
the house all the time? I mean, that happens a lot in the sort of modern Section 21, Section 31 influence Star Trek.
And all these psycho admirals that pop up, that I'm just glad I was proven wrong on this one, because I said that would have been taking it really far to, destroying whole planets just to,
But yes, okay. Well, we find that out through Book's hallucinations, and they got these hallucinations by trying to jump when they said they wouldn't recommend it. We'll get to that a little bit later. But what happened with Book jumped was that he started hallucinating, started seeing Dad, started seeing Pops. And Pops wasn't happy. And I, too, have been in a room with disappointed Dad. It's not pleasant. John, walk me through this. What was the deal with having hallucinations? Were you a fan on board? You could see more about what make T-Rex a better person?
Yeah. I mean, that's super interesting, because one of the things I always criticize Star Trek Next Generation, that it always seems to me that the writers and the producers, a lot of therapy trying to break down.
I think we're losing you. John. I think we lost John for a second. Let me ask you then, Joe. I mean, thoughts about Book's Pops?
Well, I mean, it's probably not the same point John was going to make. We'll get that here in a moment. But the thing again, this episode harkened back to so many great things that made it itself great, in my opinion. And one of which was, going all the way back to 5th episode, TNG. Episode called Where No One Has Gone Before. Same thing happened to John Luke. Saw his dad right there in the hallway when they went to this strange region of space. So there is a precedent for it. And I think that dramatically it's really effective. And sure, it certainly defined the character of Book even more this time.
Totally agree. 100% agree. I normally my reaction to this would be pretty bad, but Book really needs a lot right now. He needs to he needs to get over his daily pains just so he can function. He needs to feel like he's headed towards a solution, which he still isn't yet, and that's really tearing him apart. And these hallucinations with his father get him there.
Right.
I, for one, like it only because it was half an episode. Because I can't sit here and be like, the whole Adira Gray thing is weird and complain about that if this is going to be a long-term thing. So I'm glad it was that, and it was meta. The book is like, look, this is definitely a hallucination. You're going away. Peace out. Happy birthday. Have a nice day. What I did like about it was the decision to be Cleveland Booker. Right. I think that was something that was kind of passed over and glossed upon. But when Dad comes out and he actually says, I actually had the line here. Oh, yes. T-Rex has been a long time. You're out there communing with mushrooms, wasting your gifts. I was like, damn, maybe his dad thinks it's gimmicky too. You know what I mean? So I've been there as the son in a situation, and also the dad in a situation. Not saying I have kids, but kind of similar thing. So I love the fact that it was a quick hit, if you will.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, I'm just looking forward to the inevitable meeting between Michael Burnham and Dad, because that's going to be a pretty hostile meeting, I think. Says, so you're doing this just because she told you to? Whoa.
It also leads us to something that I thought was terrific, and I have been really happy about Discovery in this sense, which is the solution to this particular science problem was communications based.
I got it in my notes. My man Bryce.
Got it.
I love it. I love it. Just this whole idea that communications is such an important part of Star Trek. It's true. It really is. And we see it more and more in this series. I love how that plays out.
Before I get into how awesome Bryce is, I just want to say Mike, about the dad real quick. Having warning, Burnham will pick Starfleet or View it every time. And I was like, ooh, Inception, see their doubt. Ooh. But moving on, you're absolutely right. So my man Bryce, my man is so learned, so knowledgeable, so clutch. It was like, remember that thing from 1,500 years ago? Sonar. That's what that is. That man's hot in the streets. He knows all how to communicate.
I love it. I love it. Because communications just has never been given its due until Discovery. Really digging that. And we've got 2 great communications officers, but we're back with Bryce, who, OG. That's
well, I mean, the whole bridge crew was highlighted, to great extent in this episode, which hasn't been, the case recently.
And that was another thing in my notes that really, like, is this going to happen every week? Every week, someone's going to step up and say to the captain, "Look, Captain, I have concerns." And last week it was Reese. This week it was Owo.
Right.
And maybe that's a good thing because we're really getting to know people a little bit better emotionally.
So in wrestling, right, which is everything goes back to wrestling, right? There's something called the hot shot. And I felt Owoshikun was hot shot book it. Like Reese, yes, too, but that was an away mission. Hey, this away mission reminds me of something, but to have her go up as strong as he was last season and he gets shut down by Saru, who's being repackaged himself, to have her go, "I'm sorry for being smacked down." I was like, what was the point? I was looking for something else to be there. Let's get into that. Joe Townsel, you're the man that loves character development, stuff like that. Owushikin going after Saru, saying, "Captain or Commander, I want to do this. I insist," and getting shut down. Good for the character or no?
I think it was very good for the character. I think that it was, again, the whole bridge crew got their due this week, but especially her and communications officer. But yeah, as far as that exchange, absolutely, because hey, one of the things that Star Trek has always been about as well is not just blindly following orders, but at least speaking your mind.
Yeah.
And yeah, she got shot down, and probably for the good of all. But the follow-up exchange between the 2 characters with Saru and her, yeah, I said basically my understanding of that was like, you keep suggesting stuff, you keep thinking and keep coming forward.
Oh yeah.
And that's what teamwork's all about. So yeah, I think that was a very good exchange. I think that was a very important part of the episode.
Whatever. I guess John and I just wants like Terran Owo back. That's what we want. We want her to start killing her Reese again.
I mean, we really have seen, because of Terra Nova, we've seen that these actors put in extra work. They put in extra motivation, extra focus and charge. And you don't have to do that on a Star Trek. You can just look good. There's plenty of people that you could point to on previous episodes. I never really knew this person's name. That person never really stood out to me because they don't have emotional, personal moments. So I like it. I like it because I love my bridge crew. Yeah. This is a good crew. I really do love them.
Do you have a favorite?
Well,
either one.
Well, I mean, yeah, I'm thinking her hard. I mean,
that's a good question.
I'm going to embarrass myself because I can't recall the names of a lot of them because they have been so undermined and underutilized.
Oh yeah, there's Detmer, Nielsen, Reese, Bryce, Owoshikin. Those are the main 5. Nielsen. And that new one. Nielsen, Nielsen's the first one I mentioned. I forgot the new guy's name though. The young boy. I forgot him.
He's the one who fills in for Bryce.
He's Christopher, I think.
Yes, that sounds right.
I think it was Christopher.
I mean, to answer your question, I think just because of what we've seen them do up to this point in the series, and especially this week, both of them, I think I have to go with our friendly neighborhood helmsman and ops operators, up front. I mean, They bring a lot to the scenario, and especially this week.
Intergalactic neighborhoods, I love it.
That's right.
So we have this new information, right? We've survived this mission. There's a bunch of days. We're getting closer to understanding that things are happening at Galaxy's Edge. I mean, the galactic barrier. Let me put you against the wall there, Joe. Your last theory was disproven. What do you got for us this time? What do you think is behind the DMA?
Well, I have one thought, which is really out there, but I can think of only one time in all of Star Trek where we encountered a race of people that were hell-bent on conquering us from beyond the galactic rim, and that was back in the original series. And darn it, I should have gone and written it down, but I'm referring to an episode where they basically reduced all the entire crew to like little white shapes, and we're going to take them on a multi-generational trip back to their homeworld. Maybe it came from there. Do you know which episode I'm referring to?
Probably. John, Captain? My Captain? You're the expert here.
Is that the one where they turn them into cubes?
Exactly. Yeah.
The
The
original
yeah. They only left like Kirk, Spock, Scotty, and McCoy. Because they said that we need you for this trip, but the rest of them were just going to reduce down to little cubes. And they killed one of them by crushing it. Just say, "Well, we mean business." Maybe it's those guys.
I heard you. S4E6 says they are the Kelvins, Joe.
Thank you.
See, that's why I have smarter people on my show. I have no idea what the hell's going on.
This is a deep cut. I mean, this is the episode called By Any Other Name. Galactic aliens, just as you said, Joe, hijack the Enterprise and turn the crew into inert solids, leaving the 4 senior officers on their own to exploit their captors' weaknesses.
And see, in my defense of not knowing some of these names and terms, believe it or not, I just now came up with this theory as you asked. So that's why
this is why you're professional. This is why you're professional.
Well, thank you. But it would make sense, if it's them but it's probably something else. But I'm going to go with that for now.
I got one more question for you then, Mr. Townsel, or Joe, because Mr. Townsel, you're on your truck. I know that's now. It's kind of weird. So my captain and I have argued, and we argue the most cordial way. We have pleasant discussions. We're not actually fighting, but we've argued that Adira, Ensign Adira, has become Tilly in her absence. Thoughts about that, and thoughts about her role in the ship moving forward.
Well, I think it's a little soon to make that call. I mean, Tilly's only been gone for one episode, right?
2 by this point.
2, okay, yeah. I mean, counting this one, you're right.
2, and it hurts because I love her.
She'll be back. Don't worry. She's gonna get bored of the academy and come back. Don't you worry, Captain. But no, I guess possibly there's a dramatic narrative to be filled by that void. But again, hopefully they just put a different spin on this unique character and not just make it a clone. And Tilly, of course, brought a very special bent to this type of character that we don't want to see duplicated necessarily. That'd be a little bit much, a little bit too on point, I think.
Yeah.
But we'll see if she fills that function to some extent as far as being that sounding board, what have you.
I mean, I really did like her final episode so far, because when she captained, when she commanded, that was something we hadn't seen from her before in terms of seriousness and let's get on this and listen to me. I am not messing around here. And yet she's still Tilly. So I hope that we do get to see her at the Federation, breaking up how they do things a little bit with her, her style from the past and her Tilly.
And don't forget Mirror Universe Tilly, because my theory is that the Mirror Universe counterpart exists in us Prime Universe people, deep inside. And what Mirror Tilly could do. So I'm sure that exists in our Tilly as well.
No, I know you're right about that, because the Mirror Universe Spock was very much like Spock, deep down, in terms of intelligence and where he was. So, I'm kind of hoping that we do get to see a little more of that. And unfortunately, because of that marijuana use you were making fun of me earlier for, Flobo, I forgot what we were talking about.
Joe asked 2 questions back to back, so I want to bring them all to you, Captain John. Any predictions moving forward with DMA is? Will Tilly be involved in that future as we go on?
I love the idea the fact now that it is extra galactic, that it, by being from another galaxy, we are way out of our comfort zone now and deep into what Star Trek does best, which is explores the unknown and meets the unknown. It is, I don't know if it's an attack. I would feel very disappointed to find out when they meet them and they go, well, you've been destroying parts of our galaxy. And they're like, oh, I'm sorry, we didn't know. I hope that's not oops. Oops.
We are the DMA.
I hope that's not it, because bam, I want that DMA to be mad. I want there to be a conflict here. And if it is the Kelvins, that would be awesome. What an incredible callback to a very real threat. That'd be cool. Yeah. I'd love that. I do think it's probably going to be a big bad, and I feel like we're going to meet them at the end of this, 10 episodes, and then it's going to be a war against them. That's where I would go. I would go Ronald Moore on this, and I would say let's have a new Dominion. Let's have a new unbeatable foe.
It has to
be
be
exciting.
Because last season, to your point, was basically a giant oops from a kid and equivalent of a 2-bit organizational crime ring. Like, it was big, it met planets, but it wasn't like, it was like, is that Margot Kidder's niece? Like, huh?
I mean, yes, to your point, that emerald chain fell pretty fast and hard.
Yeah, it's like, done and done.
Yeah.
So it needs to be something massive. It needs to be a Mogo. It needs to be a Sauron out there. It has to be something like that.
A Borg.
You know what's going to happen, guys? In the next episode or two, we're going to see the Ilea probe reappear. It's going to be V'ger again. That's what's going to happen.
Whoa!
I wouldn't hate that. I would not hate that.
Hey, V'ger turned into something,
True.
Exactly. And with thousands of years, almost 1,000 years. It'd be about 1,000 years since the motion picture in Star Trek time, wouldn't it be?
Pretty much, yeah.
So there could be another thing there, but honestly, I wouldn't love that on the basis of V'ger. V'ger was another oopsie. Like, oops, I didn't know I was so powerful. I was just searching for whoever made me. Would you humans please get out of the way? No, humans made you, bro. So this sort of misunderstanding thing. Yeah, I we can take so much of that, but yeah, the burn was that. Just as you say, Flobo. I don't want to see that.
It'll be very repetitive. I agree. It needs to be something that goes off the left field. I would like to see a personification of some point pretty soon.
I
think we're about the halfway point, so I'm sure the next episode or two. And briefly, I don't know if you guys caught this. I just happened to see it on one of my Star Trek fan sites I visit, and the IMDb doesn't even reflect this, but they're going to have a mid-season break of Discovery. We'll have next week, then it's going to break until February. So that could have something to do with the dramatic narrative as well.
That's how season 1, I think, went. Season 1 did a 2.5 type. So it's unfortunate, but hey, it's all good.
But it could also suggest like a mid-season cliffhanger is my point.
Yeah, I agree.
We may get a big reveal next week.
They could be shoving us towards that. I totally think that's possible. And it is a good way of doing shows because in the TV universe, TV viewership lowers around the holidays and in January. People just don't really watch that much TV. And then when February comes along, that's usually when viewership picks up of TV. Just happens.
Well, it's true. It's a sweeps month,
Right.
We remember that.
Sweep for Paramount Plus. I mean, look, I don't know if people have that, but I got one more question for you guys before we get out of here. We finally got the I Love You, man. The I Love Yous book.
Yes.
Michael Burnham.
Moment.
I'm sure they said it many times in private, but no, and Grudge is all on board. Always a death knell of any relationship telling someone you love them. That's why you never do it. Captain, thoughts about this?
I think Book is in trouble. I think Book is in some serious. I think Book is going to do something crazy. Not stupid. He's not stupid. But if he says to his father's hallucination, he says, if I can find them, I will kill them. And this is after his father says, blood for blood. That's how we do it. That's the code. Although that's not Book's code. That's his father's code. But we know what's being said here. And Book, we know that Book wants to kill whoever destroyed his people and his planet. We know that. I don't think any of us judge him for that even.
Hell yeah, we know, yeah.
Well, I can't even hold it against them. And no, I agree with you. But I do think, adding on to that ultimately, get ready to say, ultimately, love will persevere.
You big softy.
I didn't even have to reach for that. It burst out of me.
Love can't prevail in space.
I just want to make sure this gets mentioned. Right. It's a little bit off topic. I apologize, but we have to acknowledge everybody going into the pattern buffer.
Yeah.
Very, very, very subtle call to what, the inventor of such a maneuver. Good for you, Scotty, for inventing going to the pattern buffer for long periods of time. I just got to say that.
Can I say screw you, Star Trek, for making me give homework? I'm a new fan. I was like, what the hell's a pattern buffer? Is it a lock safe? Is it a shuttlecraft? Is it alternate dimension? Help me out.
Flobo,
well, Scotty put himself in a transporter pattern buffer for 80 years.
That's right.
Because he was going to die otherwise. That's how he ended up in the Next Generation timeline. So that's all this was just putting the whole crew in one for, how many minutes.
I know.
That was the historical perspective they were referring to.
Yeah. Flobo, did you ever see the Deep Space Nine episode Our Man Bashir?
Sounds like a familiar one.
It's another Flobo. Yeah, it's another transporter buffer.
Oh yes, yeah. That's,
and it's great. Right. It's great because the buffer on their transporter can't handle everybody, so it pushes them into the hollow suites.
Right.
And makes them photonic, which is just I love that. Because they refer to it much later with the Doctor on Voyager is a photonic life form, and he meets other photonic life forms, and I just love that. But what an interesting way of keeping everybody safe. And I guess, all those years in the future, the buffer can handle it and hold on to them. That was great. I loved that.
Oh, definitely worked, except for not putting Captain, Burnham in it. But what are you going to do?
She had to suffer. She had to suffer. Yeah. Go down with the ship.
Down with the ship.
And how about the ship afterwards? Man, they love destroying your spaceship in Star Trek. There's not a spaceship they won't destroy. And as they're putting it together and they're going, well, this programmable material sure makes things easy. It's like, yeah. Gotcha.
yeah, there it is. There's our line to explain everything. Because Admiral Van's like, what the? Oh, programmable matter. I get it.
Right.
Yeah, 5 minutes and dry dock, you're good as new. No problem.
Well, it's Christmas time, and I have a plate of cookies to get to. So we're going to have to wrap this one up here.
Yeah.
Joe, always a pleasure being on the show, Commander's Log. This one-stop shop for unofficial Star Trek Discovery content. And, well, if I want to connect with you, besides reading JoeTownsel.com on your little corner there, how can anyone get in touch with you, contact you, high-five you, send you cookies of our own?
Hey, well, especially for cookies. Well, the website's always the best place to start. I mean, I publicize basically all 3 of our Twitter accounts on my site. I'm on Amazon, among other book sites. The new book is coming out early 2022, kind of non-fictionalizing to some extent my recent health experiences. So I hope that people will enjoy that. It's called Hell and Wellness, and you'll see the title fits very, very astutely with my recent life experience. So yeah, look for me on my website, on Amazon, on Twitter, all that good stuff.
Hell and Wellness sounds like a Dr. Biker gang. So I would love to.
Hey, I like that.
Honestly, this has got. Oh, let's get this to Hollywood. Let's make them make a series out of it. I want to see it on. Well, probably not Paramount Plus, but I want to see it. I want to watch this.
Oh, you're too kind, John. Thank you, Kevin.
And let's get those big paychecks going over to Joe Townsel. By the way, Hollywood, come on, big paychecks.
That'd be great. That'd be great. Thank you.
So, what about you, Captain?
Coming up this Sunday, that'll be 2 p.m. on the East Coast and 11 a.m. on the West Coast. Flobo Boys will be my guest, as he's always my co-host anyway. He's easy to get. And we will be watching The Naked Now, Star Trek Next Generations, famous episode. Among other things, Data gets down and funky with Tasha Yar. You're gonna want to be there.
Functional, baby.
Is that one of Data's jokes? I hope so. Leave Tasha alone.
I'm saying nothing.
Flobo, I'll let you figure it out. How's that?
Oh no!
Oh, you're gonna love it.
This. Still never even give her for our miss. That's it. Commander's Law. We'll be back next week, and I think there's going to be a breakout Josie on the horizon after that. But until then, there'll be more Star Trek, more fun. And if it's a character you love as much as I love my man Bryce, you let me know. Probably give him a spotlight. Until next time, we gotta do the whole hand thing. Live long and Joe and prosper.
And prosper.
And somebody get that.